I want to just talk to you about healing in this video. And sometimes we go through our lives and we push stuff down to deal with it later. Maybe a comment our mother or grandmother said, it hurt our feelings, but we're not ready to say anything. And maybe sometimes we don't even know what to say. We just know it hurt us and we just push it down and we'll deal with it later. Or maybe it's a boss that we have that they're disrespectful to us and we need to say something, but we don't know what to say. We just push it down. We'll deal with it later. Or maybe it's a pending divorce, a glooming divorce, and we don't want to deal with it. We say we'll deal with it, but we'll deal with it later. We just think, okay, we have our lives to live. We don't want to deal with it now. We don't know. Sometimes we don't know how to deal with it. Sometimes we've gotten so accustomed to living our whole lives, 30 years, 40 years, 50 years of just ignoring it. Or maybe we numb it. Maybe, we shop. Maybe we gamble. Maybe we watch pornography. Maybe we do other things, but we do everything but deal with it. We do everything but figure out what's the best way, to go through it. And I have found myself that we can do all that. We can ignore it. We can numb it. But at some point, there will be no more pushing it down because it won't. We've pushed down so many things for so many decades, and we'll have to deal with it. And it comes in the stillness, the quiet moments, when something happens, maybe it's a tragedy or something happens and we're forced to deal with it. Maybe we got fired or laid off or quit, or our spouse left, or whatever it is. Something happens that we've had enough, where we can't push anything else down. We have to deal with it. And so I'm reading this book recommended by Brittany Unfiltered, and I'll put her information, put the link below. This was in her store, but she talked about this video. She talked about this book, and I started listening to it on Audible, and I did not like it as much on Audible, and maybe because I always have trouble listening to stuff in nonfiction on Audible, because I like to highlight and take notes, and it's hard to do that, right? Because sometimes we typically, when we listen to an audio book, we're doing other things, right? And so this book really deserved the attention of me reading it. So I have the book, of course, and I've been reading it. And some things really stood out to me that I want to share that sometimes we don't know because we haven't taken the time to heal. We haven't taken time for ourselves to deal with things that are happening in our lives or that have happened in our lives. What I've realized is that these things don't go away. We can push them down until we can't do it anymore, but they don't go away. So one of the things that she talks about says, because sometimes it isn't the painful thing that crushes us. It's going through it alone that does. And I think sometimes there's some shame when we're dealing with something we don't want to bother other people. We're ashamed of what they're going to say. But the truth is, we need people to heal. We need to be around people. We can heal in isolation, but it's brutal. Okay, so the next thing she says, we never stop healing. And so I've never heard this before, and I think it's so poignant because we think that, okay, I'm over that. My grandmother passed away. It's been a decade. I'm better. But we don't realize that things can happen. We can have smells or experiences, or just be in a different place, or just things happen, and it can trigger something that'll bring that grief back up. So we never stop healing. It says the pain you've gone through is real. Healing doesn't happen alone. Says, can we just sit in that for a moment? The pain you've gone through is real. Can we grieve that there is an enemy of our souls, a serpent in the book of Genesis that tempted Eve in the garden to eat the fruit of a tree that God said not to eat, and ultimately stole our perfect connected union with our Creator? Genesis 3:1-7. It says healing happens in community. That's the impact of healing in community. Not only does it change you, but it heals the people who get to walk with you. And I think it's important that we don't steal somebody else's healing because we want to keep it private. We don't want to share it. I get it. Sometimes we're not ready, but in order for us to be better, to heal, I think more effectively or less brutally, we need people. We do need people. And I've seen how, I don't know if hiding is the word. Maybe it is. I don't know. I mean, hiding is what I mean, but we go through things and we're afraid. We're afraid to share. We're afraid of being judged. We're afraid that nobody cares. We're afraid. And I think that's how the devil really gets us, because we think that we should handle it on our own. We should deal with it on our own. Then we'll talk to somebody. We'll share it later after we've been through it. But I think it would be so much more. I think it would be better if we shared it with somebody, people that we trust, right? Not just anybody, because we can't do that. We got to make sure somebody we trust, somebody who has the capacity to deal with it, right? Because in all fairness, we need to make sure that we check with people first and make sure that they have the capacity to hear, to listen, to be there. Sometimes people don't, because some people are dealing with their own things. And so we got to be mindful of that. And so when I heard Wall Street Trapper talk about this, I thought, wow, we've got to make sure we check in with people and ask them, is it okay? Do they have the capacity to hear what we have to share? Because sometimes it's just too much. So just think about this as far as healing is concerned. Healing happens in a community. And when we share what we're going through, we might be able to help somebody else heal as well.